What's up, guys? Today we're going to be doing a tier list of Terraria from S to F. All personal preference, so don't take anything to heart. Just what I believe, what I think. So starting off with King Slime. I think he's B tier simply because he's a very easy boss to beat, but his loot's kind of mediocre. Like the King mount is pretty good. The Slime mount, not the King mount. The Slime mount's pretty good. But other than that, there's not really much you can get. The second boss, I have Cthulhu. That's S tier. I normally fight this one first. Personally, the King Slime, I won't even fight till like I've beaten like 3 or 4 different bosses. Just whenever he spawns, basically. But the I have Cthulhu, first boss will typically fight. Pretty fun fight. And then if you get the Shield of Cthulhu, which I'm pretty sure you get at every drop, Shield of Cthulhu is OP. So, I use that all of pre-hard mode, some of hard mode actually. A tier, Eater of Worlds. Eater of Worlds, good boss, pretty boring fight, but the loot's pretty good when you get like the scales or whatever. You can make armor and whatnot, so it's very good, but it's just a boring fight, not too interesting in my opinion, but it's also not like a super bad fight. Brain of Cthulhu, F tier, dude. Like, it's not fun to play against him. I don't like playing against him. I don't want to play against him. I rarely choose a Crimson World. I always go Corruption because I don't like the Brain of Cthulhu. Also, the biome's just kind of ass. B tier, Queen Bee. Queen Bee is kind of a fun boss, but kind of not. Depends on your loot. The big thing I have is she can drop some decent weapons, like the B gun. I think that's pretty good, but it's not like you're getting crazy loot, and it's not like you're fighting a very fun boss to fight against. It's kind of boring in my opinion. Deerclops, I'm gonna rate that D tier. I've only fought him like once or twice. I don't even know what loot he drops, and I also don't really remember playing against him. I know he's not that difficult, but I know he's also doesn't drop anything like crazy. So fighting him is kind of pointless. That's Skeletron. S tier. Pretty fun fight. Pretty difficult at that too. Maybe that's just me, but I think Skeletron's difficult. But the big thing with him is the loot you get from him is amazing. Plus you get access to the dungeon, which gets you even more loot. So it's like you just get stacked after Skeletron. Wall of Flesh, S tier. The fight isn't all that great, but you get basically you go into hard mode, and then you also get your fucking emblem, which the emblems, in my opinion, are busted. They're just OP. Not really much to say. If you played the game, it's OP. So yeah. Queen Slime. Now this is C tier. I don't really fight her because, again, it's not one of the really ones you need to fight. The loots, I honestly don't even really remember what she drops. And if I'm not remembering what she drops, it's probably nothing of importance. So, C tier. Not a super difficult fight, just C. The Destroyer. Now, A tier. I could put this in B tier, you could argue that to me, but it's the same fight as the Eater of Worlds, just as a mechanical boss. So, it's slightly more annoying because you have like the little droid things that come after you, but whatever, I guess, not a huge problem. Loot's good, so A tier, just makes sense. Twins, B tier. Pretty fun boss fight, but the loot is kind of mid. Like, you kind of have to defeat all mechanical bosses for the loot to be good, so B tier, I guess. Skeletron Prime, dude, C tier. Now, his boss fight is difficult for no reason at all. It's very annoying. The loot is definitely rewarding, but beating him is the biggest pain in the ass ever. One of the more annoying bosses to beat. Plantera, S tier, dude. Like, the boss fight is fun. It's cool. It's interesting. It's unique. Plantera is just, then the music soundtrack you get with it is like top tier, and then the loot is pretty good. So S tier for that. Golem, dude, he's C tier. Like, he just, nothing stands out. You get decent loot. You can get good loot. Don't get me wrong, decent loot. But the boss fight is so boring, dude. It's so easy. You just aim down and shoot at him with, I mean, it's just such an easy thing to do. Not even fun. Duke Fishron, dude, A tier. His loot is goated, but the fight is probably more difficult than the Moonlord, in my opinion. Like, in my opinion, more difficult than the Moonlord. But the loot is so rewarding. If you can get the mount, it's so OP. Empress of Light. That is a B tier. Nothing. She's just a bitch to take out. Like, most difficult boss in the game, I'm going to be honest with you. Just not very fun to play against, but the loot is aight, so B tier. Lunatic Cultist, it's going to go in C tier. Not a bad fight. Like, it's a fun, enjoyable fight, but also, like, the loot is kind of buns. So yeah, just the loot is buns. Now, I'm going to rate all the pillars the same because they're basically the same. You know, they just make their own specified weapons, so to me it's the same. So they're all going to go in A tier because they're easy to beat, and that's not really, I mean, they're not really fun to play against because they're so easy to beat. But the loot you get from it makes up for that. So it's like, all right, it's easy to beat, but it's fun. So, and then Moonlord. So Moonlord, I guess I should put him at A because he's super easy to beat, but he drops amazing loot. So it's like, I don't know. I always thought Moonlord was easy. Maybe some people think otherwise. You know, I guess I don't. I think he's just easy to beat. I've always beaten him with ease, relatively. So yeah, that sums up my tier list. So if you guys thought this video was at least somewhat entertaining, please feel free to drop a like and a sub. Be very much appreciated. Have a good one.